Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has accused Hezbollah of trying to assassinate him. That's after a drone targeted his holiday home. Netanyahu said the Iran-backed group had made a grave mistake. The drone was part of a wave of attacks launched by Hezbollah into northern Israel that left one person dead and put the region even more on edge.
A familiar sound in the northern city of Haifa. The Israeli army says Hezbollah launched some 180 missiles in separate barrages. Most were taken out by Israel's Iron Dome air defense system, but not all.
We're here in Kiryat Tata, where a rocket has landed in an attempt to hit citizens of Israel. There are civilians here, among them the elderly, children, and others. Now, thankfully, the residents listened to the instructions and went to the shelters. 9 people suffered light injuries.
As well as missiles, Israel says the militant group sent drones into their territory, one of which targeted a holiday home owned by Benjamin Netanyahu in the coastal town of Caesarea. Neither he nor his wife were there at the time, but the Prime Minister called it an assassination attempt and said that Israel would not be deterred. Local residents were shaken by the attack.
I feel, as a resident, unsafe, like I've never felt before in Israel.
It was troublesome, but this is not the first time. They've had some success with the drones hitting us without sirens, low flying, and it's something that we're going to have to learn to deal with going ahead.
Israel, in turn, carried out airstrikes in Lebanon. Some hit Beirut's densely populated southern suburbs, where it says it struck Hezbollah weapons facilities and a command centre. Others struck a vehicle on a highway north of the capital. And others targeted villages in the southern border region, where Israeli forces say Hezbollah is active.
I don't think it's safe in this area because as long as displaced people from the south are coming in, they will be targeted by Israel.
Both sides have pledged to keep on fighting. Israeli authorities say they are investigating the Hezbollah drone and missile strikes in the north. But Hezbollah's increasing ability to evade the Iron Dome air defense system will be a cause of concern for many people here.
Journalist Balik Sladin in Tel Aviv had the latest on Hezbollah strikes into northern Israel.
Yes, definitely a very tense day here in Israel. At least 180 rockets and drones were fired at Israeli cities and towns in the north specifically. And in one large barrage of rockets, apparently a rocket fell on the street while a person was driving or was sitting in his car, and he was killed as a result of that. He's the first civilian to be killed since the escalation or since the conflict escalated into full war with Hezbollah about a month ago, and that's added to the 4 that were killed by a drone attack in Benyamina, 4 soldiers, of course. That's also added to the large amount of damage and fire that erupted in many places in both the Upper Galilee and the Western Galilee. And that's also added to the fact that they have tried, apparently, to send a drone toward the residence of Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel. He wasn't there, as you said in your report, and was not heard. And just moments ago, he issued a statement saying that Iranian proxies, and maybe this is important, tried to assassinate me or kill me or hurt me today, and they will bear responsibility. Also, sources that are close to the Prime Minister said today that there will be a retaliation for this specific attack, and Iran, as the a country that stands behind Hezbollah, will bear responsibility as well. It could be understood that this is an attempt to legitimize an assassination attempt in Tehran as part of the anticipated Israeli strike on Tehran as well.
Well, meanwhile, we're also hearing that Israel's military carried out airstrikes on the southern suburbs of Beirut. What's the latest there?
Yes, at least 10 attacks at many sites in Beirut. That's after the IDF spokesperson in Arabic issued a statement ordering evacuation of several buildings there. And some of the buildings were hit also without any prior warning by the IDF, which means that there has been an attack on storage, the ammunition storage in Beirut once again, and apparently the whole strikes on Beirut that stopped more or less since last Thursday, or actually the Thursday that is before, are resuming right now, and we're seeing that over and over again many buildings are being ordered to evacuate, and only 30 or 40 minutes afterwards hit by Israeli airstrikes.
Well, it's been just a few days since the death of Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar in Gaza, and many people seem to have renewed hope for a hostage deal. What's the feeling right now inside of Israel?
Well, today, just like every week, the families of the hostages hold a press conference in front of the Kiryat, which is the central security, defense ministry building in Tel Aviv, and saying that there are no excuses anymore after the killing of Hamas's leader Yahya Sinwar, and Israel should go for a deal with Hamas. That's maybe contradicts what Benjamin Netanyahu has said yesterday, about the continuation of the fighting, and also contradicts what Hamas said yesterday as well in their statement. And from both statements, we can understand that the policy will not change for now. And also the Institute of the Study of War said today that it won't be easy for Israel to release those hostages as long as Yahya Sinwar's brother, Muhammad, that is still in Gaza, is the one holding the cards, quote unquote, for Hamas, even though that the leadership outside the Gaza Strip aligns more and more with Israeli demands in this deal, but apparently it won't be easy to convince Muhammad to actually release the hostages on the terms that Israel would accept, which is keeping at least the Philadelphia corridor and maybe also the Netzarim corridor, as well as, of course, the possibility of conducting raids in the future inside Gaza, so there will be a secure buffer zone between the Gaza Strip and the Israeli communities, and something like October 7th won't happen again.
That was journalist Balik Sladin speaking to us earlier from Tel Aviv.